Chakra, Ki, Nen, Stance, Ripple, Spin, Spirit Energy, Haki, Devil's Fruit, Alchemy, Soul Wavelengths, Gourmet Energy, Quirks, Desperation Flames, and even Magic. These are all concepts that exist within a plethora of popular shonen anime, and to this day have a great influence on the audiences that grew up watching the shows that contain these powers, the show that contains these power mediums. From newer to older anime, the power medium is something that has existed since very early on in the conception of fiction. It's part of an anime where characters utilize abilities that they have access to by exploiting the principles of their universe to give them essentially superhuman powers. Just think power, the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events, and medium, an agency or means of doing something. Put them together and you get power medium. Most people call them power systems, but I feel like power medium better conveys what they actually are. That's the term I came up with, at least. Many of the power mediums mentioned before are great examples because in each of them, it's fun for the fans of these shows to envision themselves in these worlds. Think about what powers they could have and think about what roles they could fulfill in these fictional worlds where the sky's the limit. Power mediums are important in anime and in any fictional setting for that matter, because with them they bring a set of rules and limitations that can help make these worlds feel more plausible and tangible, like they could be real so long as you can suspend your disbelief enough. Yeah, I can use the Shadow Clone Jutsu if I learn to manipulate my chakra nodes. I could totally gain a stand if I survive the arrow, or even work hard enough towards my life's passion. Even if the quirk I'm born with isn't that great, I can still become a hero if I learn how to utilize it properly, so on and so forth. These rules help the audience understand the mechanics of fights and allow us to speculate on the outcome of certain character matchups, the potential of character abilities, and the possible techniques that could be created by characters within those universes. They have such mass appeal because they keep us thinking about them. In a story where characters have powers, it's a lot more fun to understand how those powers work, because it allows you to stretch them to their uppermost limit and come up with creative ways to utilize them. If a story doesn't have a very well thought out power medium, then it might be really hard to stretch those creative muscles. The mechanics of fights might not be that interesting, or the lack of limitations might lead to absurd scenarios that aren't worth taking seriously. It might also be hard to be surprised when something new within the rule set occurs, because the rules aren't well established enough for it to be surprising or impressive. Like the characters aren't exploiting or stretching the rules, but just making new ones up as they go along to solve their problems. Looking at you, Natsu. Power mediums aren't only fun to think about the mechanics of either, they're also really fun to think about their impact on the story, how characters' powers or lack thereof can create truly interesting and unique situations for storytelling that can only exist when the writer understands their power medium. One where any questions you may have about how a power medium works aren't because of the writer not thinking it through very well, but because he hasn't revealed his whole hand yet. Obviously explaining everything about a power medium isn't necessary. Like, nobody needs to know that alien godmom made a fruit that gave her that power, because then where did that fruit come from? Was it on the planet from the start? Doesn't this concept of having chakra passed down and handed to a select group of humans who are lucky enough undermine the idea that anyone can be a shinobi if they just work hard enough? It also undermines Rock Lee's character a bit, who was just some sort of rare exception. But no, it turns out it isn't the result of some birth defect, but just because his ancestors weren't given chakra when it was being handed out. And you expect me to believe that after however many centuries passed, his lineage stayed without chakra in a world where chakra is essential for being any bit of viable in any way? Like, nobody in his family tree married someone who could use chakra. Well, anyway, moving on. The most interesting power mediums are the ones that function as if they themselves are a science, or can be understood by some sort of pseudo-science. If you understand enough about them, you don't need to ask many more questions. But not the type of power medium that you're so familiar with because you've seen it in a bunch of other stories that the writer doesn't have to explain anything because you get it already. How does that work? It's magic, fuck you. Consider this the beginning of a series where I talk about the different power mediums within shonen anime, the ones I've seen at least, weighing the pros and cons and making commentary about them along with their impact on the narratives they play a part in. I think the first one I want to talk about because it's fresh on the market and a great example will be quirks from the Boku no Hero Academia series. So I hope you stick around and look forward to the next video coming. This is Silverbean and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Wait, I have to end off on something funny. Yeah.